doomed? Is my question that I want to ask you guys. All right, if you guys are new to the channel, obviously make sure that you hit the thumbs up button, hit the notification bell icon, and that way you know when I go live. We do Sixers content, we do Phillies content, and we do Eagles content as well. All right, we do all the play-by-plays, and we try to keep you up to date with news every single day on Phillies sports. All right, I don't have any notes in front of me. Okay, I don't have Twitter up. I don't have any of that. This is just coming straight from my heart right now. Okay, it's time. It's time that we talked about them. Okay, time has gone by. The season's done. And we need to have a real conversation about where this team is headed. Because I got to be honest with you, I'm usually the one that's Mr. Positive. I'm usually the guy that is always going to tell you, you got to play every game because every game matters. Right now, if you were to ask me, how do you feel going into next season about the Sixers? I don't feel good. I don't feel good at all. I am sick. I have gone through so much heartbreak with this team. I don't really know what the future has in store. I've heard the reports about Paul George and how the conversations have been dying down. Paul George, Lauri Markkanen, cool. DeMar DeRozan, Brandon Ingram, LeBron James, okay. I really don't feel good about where this team is right now. Even if they were to get role players, I was also one of the guys that has actually said that if they get role players or if they bring back the role players that they had, they need consistency. I don't really know how I feel about that either. Now, you have to also remember that I just watched a Boston Celtics team win a championship with Al Horford, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. Can I just say, I have never seen a superstar get so much leeway the way that he has. My man could go 0 for 22, and yet, if he makes a go-ahead shot with a minute left, it's nothing. But then my guy, my MVP, can go 8 for 25, and yet he gets criticized by the media, and so many people are bashing him, saying that he stinks, he'll never win a championship. This is why centers can't take over a team in the NBA. It's just, it just sucks. I hate being in this spot, okay? I've been loving this Phillies team. This Phillies team has given me so much pleasure and joy. And part of the reason why that I haven't really been talking about the Sixers and I haven't really been talking about the Eagles is because I just, as of right now, I don't know what they're going to do. I just don't see a good future. I hate feeling this way. I hate feeling this way. Obviously, we're going to go through the game-by-games next year, and I'm probably going to fall back in love with this team. I'm probably going to fall, let's see what happens on draft night, if there's any sort of a move or anything splashy that happens. Daryl Morey's in a really tough spot. It sucks because the free agency class is terrible. And I don't know what they do. I'm bugged. I'm bothered that the Celtics won a championship. I'm bothered that this team, year in and year out, just loses in the second round. And in the first, and they just can't make it past that hump. I'm going to live and die with Joel Embiid as my center. I'm going to live and die with Tyrese Maxey as my young star point guard. Those are the two building blocks. I love Nick Nurse as my head coach. I think he's fantastic. I just don't care. I hate saying that. I don't care what they do. I care, but I don't care. Because any way you slice it, they're stuck. They're stuck. They got themselves off the Tobias Harris contract. That's great. There really isn't much for them that they can do. I hate saying that. There's not much that this team can do to just impress me. And I'm always the guy that says, you play every game, and obviously I take everything into stock, and I do all that sort of stuff. I'm just so tired of the heartbreak. That doesn't mean I'm not going to be following this team. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be covering this team. Doesn't mean any of that, because obviously, yes. But I've just been through so much with them. It wasn't their fault that they lost last year to the Knicks. They got out-physicaled, right? Like, they got out-hustled, all those things. Embiid was banged up again. But year in and year out, it's the same problem. Do I feel better if they get Alex Caruso? Not really. I mean, I'd like a backup center like Andre Drummond. Yeah, like that'd make me feel a little bit better because finally then we solved the backup center problem. But in order for them to move the needle, okay, what's going to have to change? I really don't know. I'm being honest with you. I don't want Miles Bridges. I would take Michael. I don't know if the Nets are going to trade him. Jimmy, honestly, with Jimmy now, I'm not feeling so good about it. If the Sixers were to get Jimmy Butler, I have questions. I have questions about his health. I have questions about how dependable he's going to be. But that's how I feel. I hate this feeling, man. I really do. I don't like feeling this way. Daryl's in a tough spot. Daryl, I don't think, has been as bad as people have said that he is. Getting rid of Ben Simmons sucked, right? Like, he had to deal with that. You turned Ben Simmons into James Harden. Unfortunately, the James Harden deal didn't work out. I'd do that trade again. They also traded Al Horford for Danny Green and Seth Curry. Great move. Daryl, I actually think, has overall done a pretty decent job. He hasn't been perfect. The only bad signing that he's had is the P.J. Tucker deal. Tobias Harris, that wasn't his fault. I still would have tried to see if I could find a way to get rid of Tobias Harris at the trade deadline. But yeah, it's a weird spot, man. They have all this flexibility, but yet the free agency class sucks. The answer's not in the draft. They're in a win-now mode. And as much as I hate to say this, would I go the rebuild route? Would I go the contender route? Like let's build this team and get another star, or let's build around the role players? I hate to say this, but they probably should get another star. Doesn't really make me happy, but that's probably what they have to do. And look, I'm going to get to your comments in just a little bit. I just have a lot that I have to say that's on my head about this team because they've been making me sad. They've been making me really sick and sad. I love Oubre. I want Oubre back. But Oubre as your third option is not a good third option. I like DeAnthony Melton. I like Nico Batum. As role players, I would take them back. I don't want Kyle Lowry. But at the end of the day, yes, Tobias Harris didn't step up in the playoffs. and Kelly Oubre as your third option sucked, and you can win or at least make it to the conference finals with another star player, maybe Paul George as a third option isn't as bad. Maybe because he was a number 2 and a number 1 with the Clippers, maybe number 3 wouldn't be such a bad thing for Paul George. I don't know how you do this. And they're in such a tough spot. Any way you slice the pie, they're trapped. Do you get OG Anunoby? I don't know. I have no clue. I love Ricky Council. I think that he has a nice, cool future here. The only person that moves the needle for me right now, is Kevin Durant. The Suns should put Kevin Durant on the trading block if they were smart. I would love KD to come on over here. KD or Michael, those are the only 2 superstars that I would take. Laurie's fine, but again, does this move the needle to get this team out of the second round? I've been doing this for 7 years. At some point, you reach a breaking point. That's how it feels. And again, I'm not usually like this, right? Like, I'm usually like the positive, like the energetic type of guy when it comes to this team. You know, happy, go lucky type of a thing. And it feels really uncomfortable for me. But I can't lie to you. I don't have one lying bone in my body right now when I tell you that I don't feel good. I really don't. They could have won it against the Hawks. They could have won it with a bad bounce that didn't go their way and a travel, as DFJ would say. You know, it's tough. Then you think about Game 6, like you think about all these things. It's a tough part to be in. All right, JJ, I've been waiting. You got it. You got it, Grace. You got it. And you probably disagree with me. I don't know how you feel. I'm going to roll down through these comments, and I want to see how you guys feel. If the Sixers were to do one thing to get you back to believe in them, what would it be? What would it be? Or do you still believe in them? I love Joel, says RG, but I think we're not going to win a chip with him here. This isn't against him, but we need to move on. And even though I just went on that little soliloquy, if you will, I still disagree with that. Because Joel has a skill set that any team would take. And you live and you die with that. Bryce Harper, because I've been focused on the Phillies, is an elite talent. He's a cornerstone piece. He's one of the top 10 best baseball players in baseball. Still, I think it's safe to say that he's still a top 10 player. I'm not trading him even when he gets injured all the time. I'm living and dying with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey as my 1-2 punch. You have to. You can't replace that. You can never replace an elite star player for another elite star player. It's not the same. It just doesn't happen. So, I'm not moving on from Joel. I'm still trying to find a way to make this work. I just don't feel good about it, though. I cannot feel good about something while still live and die with my best players. I never wanted PG. RG says LeBron's still good enough. Yeah, I just, I need to see it. You know, I need to see him in a Sixers uniform. I need to see him with a trio. I'll tell you this, LeBron is a way better third option than Tobias Harris. Absolutely. So if we do addition by subtraction right there, sure. Yes. Same thing with Paul George. I want to believe that Paul George is a better third option than Tobias Harris. I don't know. But LeBron, yeah, he has championships. Yeah, he has rings. I still think that he could bring stuff athletically to the team. But is he going to take up, how much money are you going to pay him? And is that going to diminish what types of role players you can get? Because then again, we have 3-star players, but then our role players suck. And we're still in the same spot. Laurie Markkinen's interesting. Ugh, don't bring up Al. Ty says, I have trust in the 76ers. The main problem was health, and we know that. My guy, we've been doing this year in and year out, though. I agree with you. Health has been a problem. But they just haven't been able to get the rest of the roster figured out. And what sucks is that teams like the Knicks and the Indiana Pacers might be where the Sixers are. They might be a second-tier team. Boston, somebody said the other day, once you win one championship, it's easier to win the next couple. Maybe there could be like Milwaukee a couple years ago. I don't know. But Tatum and Brown figured it out. And Joe Mazzulla figured it out. And I hate it. It bugs me. Mundane says they could probably get Ben Simmons for cheap. I've been a fool for so long, I just can't stop myself from hoping for the season we finally get it together. You know, RB posted the other day. Shout out to him. He did say after the Celtics won the chip, next year will be for Embiid and Maxey. And obviously it would be so sweet. Can you imagine? The Sixers do win the chip next year. Joel Embiid does get his first ring. That would make the ring next year even more bittersweet because the Celtics did win. Tatum has won. Giannis has won. Kawhi has won. Butler still hasn't won. But, yeah. It's Embiid's turn. It's Joel's turn. It would be really bittersweet for that to happen. Ty says, I hope all the bandwagon fans stay over there, but it's not gonna. But it's gonna happen. Definitely not sure why the Heat will all of a sudden want to get rid of Jimmy. I don't really know either. Well, I kind of do know because Jimmy thinks that he is the team, like that he is a part of the Heat culture, and yes, he's a part of the Heat culture, but he went out of line a little bit, according to Pat Riley, and that doesn't fly by. So if they can get really good value for him, they're probably going to do it. They still have a very good head coach. They still have a very good system. So, Cool Sports says, now we're not doomed. Let's have some hope. We're hopefully going to get Jimmy Butler and get some great bench pieces. Let's do this thing. I wish I could be there with you, man. I really wish I could. I've been Mr. Positive for a while. I just don't feel that great. Something else interesting that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit too before I get to more of your comments. Should the Sixers bring back, talked a little bit about Kyle Lowry, should they bring back Campaign? I want Campaign back. I do. I know that his shot is backwards, but I think that he's a really good spark plug off the bench. Does that move the needle, though? No. He's just a nice, young little role piece. He's not really young, but he's in his prime. I'd bring him back. I would. Is Ricky Council going to get more minutes next year? I hope so. Maybe he will. Maybe this will be like what Christopher Sanchez was last year for the Phillies, right? Christopher Sanchez got called up, and then he was just this plug-in guy. Now he's a legitimate fourth starter. He's been great. Maybe that's what Ricky Council will be next year. I don't know. No clue. Do you think there will be a sign and trade with Toby? I don't think so. I think that Toby is done. I don't think that the Sixers can really get a sign and trade type of a deal. Nor do I even think that they'd want to. Because what value will they get? I mean, they get some value, and I guess some value is better than nothing. But I don't think they can get much. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I don't know. I'd like to think that if Embiid was healthier, that we would have had more of a chance. I do. I would really like to think that. I can't say that now, though. Honestly, man, it can't get any worse at this point. I say we go all in on LeBron, winning pedigree, winning culture, veteran leadership. If anyone gets hurt, he can fill in 1 through 5. You bring up a good point there because LeBron does, God forbid if Embiid gets hurt during the middle of the season like he did last year. One of the problems that the Sixers did have was we all questioned, could they stay afloat? And it was just Tyrese Maxey. So maybe if they do get another superstar, and God forbid he does get hurt, that'll help keep the Sixers afloat during the regular season. But how's it going to look in the playoffs? How's Embiid going to do in the playoffs? We're never going to know. We're always going to question that. And I'm still willing to live and die with it. But yeah, I would take LeBron any year. I just don't know if he's too old. I don't know if there's too many miles on the tires. I don't know how much he's going to want. And is it going to be enough for the Sixers to still fill out the rest of their roster? Because they got to pay Maxey too. They still have to pay Tyrese Maxey. They haven't done that yet. So, Jesus, what's up, man? Embiid isn't working out in Philly. Sixers always tried to compete with just 1 or 2 good players. Didn't work out in the Iverson era and won't work now. Need depth on the team. I'm on both sides. I'm more so on, I'll take a third star, but you have to have some type of depth. They lost to the Knicks because of that. They didn't have young athletic wings like the Boston Celtics or the New York Knicks, and they're getting out rebounded. They've never figured out the backup center thing. When is it going to be our turn, bro? Gosh. I just want to win. I just want to see Joel and Tyrese Maxey get that trophy. Pick up the Larry O'Brien. For once. That's all I want. KD is a cancer to teams. LeBron, KD, and Kyrie are all cancer to teams. We need players that can score in the paint. I wish the Sixers had the Phillies management and owners. Eagles, too. Eagles ownership's done a pretty good job. Sign LeBron. Sorry if that's controversial. 17 in the chat. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Bucket Getter says, I want Jimmy. He's a dog, and he is still a beast when he's healthy. Ty says, I'm always with Philly. Once a Philly, always a Philly. You know? That's how I feel. If the Sixers signed LeBron, I'd never support the Sixers again. Cool Sports says, get Jimmy Butler and good bench pieces. But without Butler and just a good bench players, I still believe in this team. We're going to surprise a lot of people this year. I feel like we say that every year, guys. I do. Tired. Tobias, don't try to make the whole team about him like LeBron would. LeBron would ruin this team, says Jesus. But yet, LeBron's a better third option than Tobias Harris is. So, can't guarantee LeBron wins us a chip, but he at least gets us over the hump to a conference finals. Maybe. We'll see what else you guys have to say. If we had a normal third option, we would have beaten the Knicks and the Pacers. You're not wrong. But even still, I'm sorry, but now I'm not even at the point like where I even like want to make it to the conference finals. Like just making it to the conference finals, even though we've never even been to the conference finals, that's not good enough. I want to go to the finals. They have to. The expectation should just be finals. Or bust. What about Ingram, Michael Bridges, KD, or Butler? Oh no, I've been saying that. I may not agree with everything you're saying, but I appreciate your thoughts. I like the no notes and off the cuff stream. Raw emotions, man. Raw emotions, and I've, maybe because I watched Boston win that chip. Maybe that was a stab in the back. I don't know. But I really don't know what else to say. RG also says, only thing I'd say about the 3 stars and 0 good role players, the Heat are patient 0. They won 2 chips with 0 supporting cast. I mean, they still had Ray Allen. They still had Udonis Haslem. Those guys contributed, right? They still had the Shane Battiers of the world. Still had really nice role players. Thanks, Pedro. Appreciate it, man. Jimmy's a little sour about what happens. Cam is definitely coming back. Oh, Cam is definitely coming back after his incident. RC4 should definitely get 1% better. Yeah, I think he meant to say 100%. Can we send Taiwan Walker to Taiwan? That's a totally different conversation. Oh, that's really cool, man. Well, thank you so much for always tuning in, David. I appreciate that, man. That honestly made my day. And yeah, man. You're the best. You're the best. I'm really happy that you've been coming on to the play-by-play streams and that you enjoy the stuff that we do, because that's what makes it great. That's what makes it awesome. Geriatric Sixer with LeBron and Jimmy. I feel like I have other things to say, and I feel like I should be defending this team. I am happy that Tobias is gone, but that's just one thing, right? I don't know. I'm meh. But of course I'm going to be bought back in once the season starts. I just don't feel good now. LB wouldn't bring his son to Philadelphia. He might. I think that we definitely need a different backup center. For sure, absolutely. Yeah, Paul Reed's not the answer. Paul Reed is not the answer. Pedro says, I feel the same way with the Sacramento Kings. I wanted to see the Kings go into the playoffs. But See, you're at a different point, though, because your team is on the come up. And while, yes, like you had a disappointing season, you still have a bright future ahead of you with De'Aaron Fox, with Domantas Sabonis, Keegan Murray. The Sixers, it's like we're 7 years into this, and yet we still haven't even figured out how to get out of the second round. You don't think that LeBron's leaving LA? I don't know. The NBA right now is filled with so many drama stories, and we're not really going to know anything until draft night. You know, I'll be honest, I saw the Shams report come out. I don't trust it. I don't. I'll believe it when I see it if Paul George literally decides not to come to Philly. I think that the Sixers are going to go in on Paul George. I don't like it. Just because they're quote-unquote weaning now the conversations doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. I find that a little bit hard to believe. Sorry to break it to our fans. Star free agents don't come here even when we have money. Just get good role players. But Brian, see, that's not what Daryl's going to do. So we have to be realistic. But also, we can have our feelings as well. But we know that Daryl's going to do what he wants to do. That's just who he is. Daryl goes after star players. The only guys that he knows are former Rockets players and stars. Russell Westbrook, Chris Paul, James Harden, Dwight Howard. I can go on and on. PJ Tucker. Anthony Melton was drafted by the Rockets. That's how it is, man. LeBron definitely gives us 20 points every time, unlike Tobias. And that's true. That is absolutely true. LeBron gives you more production than Tobias Harris does. But how do you fill out the rest of the roster with LeBron there? I don't know. How much flexibility are they going to have left if they do sign LeBron? Because LeBron's not coming here for cheap. He's not. So maybe LeBron or maybe the third star gives you as much as the role players do, and that still isn't good enough. I don't want 3 superstars in a G League squad, with all due respect, on this team. Because then we're still in the same spot. I'm going out to say that we get closer next year. I love it. I hope you're right. I hope you're right. I think that we're going to be in the same spot. I do. That's how I feel about Brandon Ingram. Celtics have too much depth. Even when we were healthy, we were not doing well against the Pacers or the Celtics. To piggyback off of your point, hardcore, the one thing I learned from the playoffs last year is that it is a different game than in the regular season. Did you notice that Joel Embiid was not getting any sort of foul calls? Did we all forget that Tyrese Maxey didn't have a whistle last year as well? Is Maxey even going to have a whistle this year? Maybe. I don't know. But in the playoffs, it is a different story. It's a faster paced game. It's not like baseball. It's not like football where, I don't know, like it's the same type of a game. It is a completely different game. Playoff basketball and regular season basketball are two different sports. And, yeah. Time brings change. Little typos. No, I got you, though. I got you. Celtics pretty much won without Porzingis. Honestly, if Dame became available, I'd take Dame, says RG. I know he just became a buck, but weirder things have happened. Damian Lillard. Is Damian Lillard overrated? I'd have to think about Damian Lillard. I don't like it, but I'm not opposed to it. Something has to give, though. What else do we got? Clippers were old. They had a decent season. Couldn't tune in because we had a power outage, says David. But tomorrow I will. Sounds good. And we didn't have any internet. Embiid hurts almost every Embiid's always hurt almost every single playoff round. Yeah, I know. I'm tired of it. But I'm still living and dying with him as my star player. You still have to go for it. I'm tired of it too. I'm tired of losing and not getting over that hump. What other choice do you have, though? You have to go for it. I need more players besides Maxey. Sixers last time to the finals was 2001. It's definitely been a long time. Embiid has loyalty to Philadelphia 76ers fans. He does. And I love Joel. Joel, I think, the best athletes in Philadelphia still, Bryce Harper, Joel Embiid, and I still say Jalen Hurts is loved. I still would say that. I still would give them as my top three. But the OKC Thunder could be scary with a young core of players. Yeah, they could. Get Markkanen, sign Klay Thompson, and sign Jalen Smith. Klay, I don't know if I trust him either, man. He's not what he used to be. It's not automatic like he once was. How much are they going to pay him? If they can get him on a low contract, I would do it. Yes. But if they're going to overpay him, then guess what? We're having another Tobias Harris contract, and I'm not for it. I don't want to be stuck. I'm tired of being stuck. He only makes sense if we get him on a minor deal. 76ers need to give KJ Martin more playing time. KJ Martin has to re-sign with this team, dude. KJ is not even signed. So before we even make that comment, we have to see if he gets signed. Toby said he's putting up 30 points for the first time he plays the Sixers after he's traded. Calvin says San Antonio might make the biggest leap next year, but the question, if Pop still has it in him. Dame is overrated. Sixers love going after old washed players. They might as well try and get Larry Bird on the phone. That's funny. My son had brought up the fact that Embiid is always hurt in the playoffs. What if we make him the power forward and bring in another center? Somebody else brought that point up too, and my problem with that is that's like taking Kyle Schwarber out of the leadoff spot, in my opinion. Joel has had this role, right? Kyle Schwarber has had this role for the Phillies as being the leadoff hitter. He's not really a typical leadoff hitter, but he's been their leadoff hitter, whether you like it or not. But if you take Kyle Schwarber out of that position, okay, can the team be better? Maybe, but Joel has been a really good center. If you move into the power forward, then what are we doing? Are we just going after like another center and just building a twin tower type of a thing? You need young athletic guards and wings if you want to win. I'm not really a big fan of like this twin towers type of move. Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, did they really make it work? I guess to an extent, but they still had Jaden McDaniels. They still had guys that were really good on the perimeter defensively. And the Sixers don't have that depth. It's an interesting point, though. It is. Don't bring back Kyle Lowry. Keep Cam. Just don't jump back on the bandwagon when the team starts winning. Cam is a good player. Dude, I don't know about you, but I mean, I've been following this team forever, and I'm still going to be calling their games. Like, I'm not just jumping off the bandwagon. I'm just saying that I don't feel good about their future. Doesn't mean I'm not going to cover this team. Doesn't mean I'm not going to talk about them, because of course I will. Okay? I don't just give up on teams. That's not in my blood. Can't do that. At least there's a Game 7 for the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm excited about that too, man. I'm excited about that. I'm not even going to do the Phillies game because that night I have to go to an event, and after that event's done, I'm going to watch the rest of Game 7. Honestly, JJ, I'm kind of with you on KD. He's generational. I don't care if he's a so-called cancer. He fills the void that we need. Yeah, Kevin Durant would be a really nice fit because I feel like his game fits with Maxey and Embiid's. And yet, even if he is a quote-unquote third option, he still does a pretty nice job at rebounding. He's a nice shooter. He can shoot off the dribble. He can also shoot off the pass as well. I think that he would be he still is a good shooter. He'd be hungry to win. And I think he'd be the best fit. I do. I think he's the best fit. Him and Michael Bridges. The only two guys that I would want for superstars. Let's talk some NBA draft, JJ. I'm not talking about the draft now, my guy. I'm talking about how I feel about the Sixers. That's what this pod's about. The draft, that's another day. Right now, I'm just talking about this team. What else do we got? I was picking the Panthers. When's Game 7? Game 7's on Monday night. We're all fans of the Sixers. We all have different opinions, but we can agree or disagree, open our minds to what needs to be changed. Yeah. I agree with that. And I love this team. I love this team. But that's all I got to say. If you guys are watching this on the playback, let me know down below in the comments section what you guys actually think about where the Sixers are headed. Do you see a bright future for them? Do you not see a bright future for them? Who should they go after? What should they do if they want to be a championship contender? I clearly don't feel good about it, but that doesn't mean that I'm out on this team, because I'm never out. All right? I love you all so, so much. All right? I love you all. And I will catch you all in the next one. We'll keep talking about this team. Don't worry. We know that we have the draft this week, and there's going to be some conversations about the draft too, and we'll get into it. But until then, I'll catch you all. Lila Tov. Good night.